Welcome to Mindset to Motion podcast, where transformation is not just a dream, but a journey we embark on together. I'm Chase, your guide on this path of health, fitness, and mental resilience. Each episode, we will dive deep into strategies that bridge the gap between wanting and becoming, exploring everything from fitness hacks, biooptimization, and nutrition tips to the power of a positive mindset and habit formation. So, whether you're taking your first steps or looking to elevate your journey, you're in the right place. Let's get set to put those aspirations into action. Hey, welcome back to the Mindset to Motion podcast. I'm Chase, and today we're diving into another mindset episode. And we're going to be shifting things up a little bit. On some of my previous episodes, I'm sure you could probably tell that I was reading from a script and I was trying to make sure that I didn't miss anything. And a lot of this comes from learning how to do podcasting. And I've talked about the fact that this is brand new to me. So I'm really hoping that I can make some positive adjustments to this by focusing on talking to you and making this a conversational topic. Instead of focusing on how do I just read from a script, I want to focus on talking to you and getting a point across. So today's episode is going to be about the power of small habits in building a sustainable fitness routine. So small habits are all about making tiny decisions that impact the long-term success of our lives. In James Clear's Atomic Habits, they talk about the compounding effect of adding these habits together over time and making small changes. While it may not seem to have a massive impact on that day, the goal is that by compounding the effects of making this small habit or this small change into a consistent habit, that compounded effect will have a massive change in a long-term success. Now, it's not all about just doing something one time. For something to become a habit, you have to repeat it. It has to be something that you can do on multiple occasions. On my last mindset episode, we talked about the fact that when I started one of my last challenges where I tried to do 100 days to the best version of me, I gave myself 15 daily habits that I wanted to do. And I started from day one trying to implement all 15 of these habits. And what I can tell you is after reading the book Atomic Habits, and I also read another book called Tiny Habits by Fogg, I learned that trying to implement or trying to add on a ton of changes at one time really makes it almost impossible, or it seems impossible to be able to do that much stuff in one day. Now, the effect of compounding these habits together, like what Atomic Habits talks about, is you're taking a small habit, you make that small change, and then once that becomes easy to do and you do it without even thinking about it, then you add another habit on top of that. So this gives you the ability to kind of scale this up appropriately and not overwhelm yourself with trying to give yourself so many tasks to complete in a single day. Now, let's look at how these small habit changes can have a significant impact on a fitness routine. Something as simple as a 5-minute walk or taking the stairs. These things can have a massive impact on a fitness routine because it's usually the catalyst of starting something, right? Getting out and going for a walk during a break between meetings instead of sitting and scrolling through more emails or looking at social media. It gets you active, it gets your body moving, and it gets you into that mindset of continuing to do things. An object in motion stays in motion until something stops it. Usually, once you have gotten into the habit of doing things and keeping yourself consistent, keeping yourself moving, it's easier to keep moving. It's harder to stop yourself from moving. So that's why you'll see a lot of people who start with standing desks and start with walking pads continue that effort over the long term. And I think that's probably because once you get into the habit of doing these small things like going for a 5-minute walk, that can slowly increase to, well, you know what? Today I've got 10 minutes before my next call. I'm going to go ahead and go for a 10-minute walk instead. Or maybe instead of doing a walk today, I've got 30 minutes. Maybe I'll jump on the bike today. I'll do a 30-minute bike ride, or I'll do a 15-minute rower session. As you start to incorporate these small habits of making changes into your lifestyle, it just becomes much easier to make the decision that you're going to keep doing something to keep yourself active. A lot of us in the cybersecurity and IT industry, and to be honest with you, there's lots of industries now that are just work from home, remote jobs where most of us spend a lot of our time sitting down in a chair staring at a computer screen. And while that has become the normal, it also has caused a lot of us to gain a ton of weight. Now, I haven't gone over much of my story, but from when my son went through his heart surgeries and prior to that, I had gained almost 60 pounds over about a 2-year time frame. And then when I was in the hospital with him, our health and our fitness really took a back seat. And even though I wanted to, and I felt out of shape and I felt miserable all of the time, it just did not become a priority to me. And in 2023, my wife and I decided we were going to focus on ourselves and taking care of ourselves. I joined a CrossFit gym, and actually, in our last episode, I had the owner of Green Fire CrossFit come on and talk about getting started in the CrossFit world. And that industry and that community just made a massive difference for me. Now, when I first started with them, I was running a lot because I was training for a marathon, and I finished it and I did the marathon in May of 2023. And at that time, I was focused on just lifting light, focusing on running a lot of miles every week to get ready for that marathon. And then after I finished the marathon, then I started focusing on, I want to increase the weights that I'm able to lift. I want to be able to increase the effort that I'm able to give into CrossFit. So my efforts and my focus has changed. So instead of weight loss, my focus became more on building muscle, building the ability to lift heavier weights. And that shifted my efforts and my focuses for a very long time. But it's the small habits of doing things like getting up in time to get myself ready to go to the gym that makes a big difference. Now, I talked about tiny habits a few minutes ago, and the author of that book, BJ Fogg, he talks about the power of using these tiny changes to make an impact over a long time. Because if you try to do something huge, a lot of times that massive effort just makes it seem daunting and like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Whereas if you make it a small change, something that you can do quickly, it's not that big of a deal. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can do that in 30 seconds. I can do that in maybe 5 minutes. A 5-minute walk only takes 5 minutes to do. If you have access to a treadmill, you can do it quickly. You can do it while you're still on the phone. A lot of times today, we have people who are attending these conference calls for work while they're walking outside or while they're on the treadmill because it gives them the ability to multitask and still focus on the topic of the meeting. So let's talk about a few examples of something that you can do of these tiny habits that can be done quickly. Doesn't take up a ton of time, but you can make it a habit. It can become a routine over time. So taking the stairs, that's an example I talked about a minute ago. What about every time you need to go to the restroom during the day, on your way, you do 10 air squats. On your way, you do 5 push-ups. Do you have to take the stairs to get from, like for me, from my basement upstairs to get to the restroom? Maybe if push-ups is not something that you can do yet, use the stairs and do 5 to 10 inclined push-ups, right? So you grab a stair that's a little bit higher up and you do an inclined push-up on your way. Do 5 of those before you make it up the stairs. So finding a way to incorporate some sort of fitness in your day that can take just a few seconds makes a big difference over time. So look for ways that you can incorporate stuff like air squats, push-ups, jumping jacks, a short walk. Those things make a massive difference when they're compounded over time. So I recently studied for and passed my NASM certified personal training certificate, and it was very daunting. It took quite a while for me to study for it, and I was proud of the fact that I did it. But one of the things that we talk about in there, one of the things that they teach in there is setting SMART goals. And the SMART goal stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely goals. And this is something that's really important for these small habits. In order to implement and maintain these small habits, you have to set realistic goals. I talked about that episode where I did 15, or I tried setting myself up for 15 new habits that I wanted to do every day. And some of these habits took 30, 40 minutes to accomplish, hours to accomplish, right? An hour walk in the morning, an hour workout in the morning, an hour workout in the afternoon. These things took a lot of my day. And it was unrealistic that I was going to be able to hit this every day on top of being a dad of 6 kids, on top of working full time, on top of studying for a certification in personal training. It just wasn't something that I was going to be able to accomplish every day because I set unrealistic goals. And even though they were attainable, it also meant that I wasn't able to do the other responsibilities of being a dad or being an employee of a company. So it wasn't a realistic goal that I set for myself. So that's what I would tell you is that initially, let's make sure that when you set these goals or when you have a habit that you want to create, set a realistic goal of what that habit's going to be and how long you're giving yourself to make this become a habit. Now, you'll see studies that say it takes 21 days, 21 times, 21 everything of making something into a habit. That is a loose estimation because 21 days is assuming that you complete that habit 21 days consecutively. But if you miss a couple of days, then it really doesn't work. What I usually like to tell people is that each habit may be a little bit different. In some habits, if you really enjoy doing it, it's going to be a lot easier to make that become a habit. If it's something that you don't care to do, then making that become a habit is going to be very difficult to do. And probably going to miss quite a few times. So turning that habit into something that you consistently do may take you longer to accomplish than other things that you actually enjoy doing that you're trying to make into a habit. So when setting these small achievable habits that you're trying to create, the key is to make it so easy that you can't say no. Don't give yourself the ability to make an excuse for not doing something. Oh, I can't do that because I just ate lunch. Okay, well, let's make this a habit that we do an hour or two after lunch, right? Figure out a way and set your environment up to where your environment is telling you what you need to do. If you have a walking pad close by, your environment's telling you you have no excuses to not walk. If you have a standing desk, you have no excuses to not stand. So find a way to make this so easy that you can't say no whenever it's a new habit you're trying to implement. Another thing that I would like to tell you about is habit stacking. Now, this comes from Atomic Habits, and James Clear talks about this in his book quite a few times. And the goal here is find something that you know you're going to do every day and stack a new habit on top of that. What's an example of a habit stack? One from me, I wanted to walk every morning. It was something that I set a goal for myself that I had wanted to walk, and I wanted to do it for at least 30 days because I wanted to see if it was something that I could work into a schedule every single day. Now, over time, I found that it didn't make sense to always do it in the morning, but initially, I wanted to make sure that I got at least 30 minutes to 45 minutes of walking time every single day. So, what I looked at was what is something that I do every day? I drink coffee every day. So, I said, how can I turn my coffee time into a time for walking? And what I looked at and what I ended up going with was let me get a thermos that I can carry with me. And I can either go for a walk or I can get on my treadmill and walk for 30 to 45 minutes. And I can drink my coffee while I'm going for a walk. So that's an example of stacking a habit. Another one is what I told you a minute ago. I have a habit that I have to go to the restroom, or I have a task that I do every day. In the middle of a day, in between calls, I have to go to the restroom. So on my way, I'll do 5 to 10 push-ups. On my way, I'll do 2 pull-ups before I go upstairs. So looking for those things that you know you're going to do every day anyways, and adding your habit onto that. Now, this can become difficult if you start trying to add too many habits onto too many things. So it's one of those areas that I like to tell people start small. Don't try to go massive and make this huge change in your life and say, oh, I got 5 different things that I want to incorporate. So let me find 5 different tasks that I know I do every day and stack something new to it. Start with one thing, give yourself a week or two to where it becomes easy and you just do it without even thinking about it. And once you're doing it without thinking about it, now it's a habit, right? And once it becomes a habit and once it becomes an easily repeatable habit, then it will be easy for you to start incorporating new habits. If you make things so difficult that it's easy to fail at it because you're running out of time, because you're exhausted, or because you're not sleeping properly, now you're staying up late because you're not getting the rest that you need, it's going to be easy for you to fail at these new habits that you're trying to create. So, in a fitness routine, one of the biggest things that people have an issue with is getting to the gym. Honestly, putting on your workout clothes, getting out the door is the hardest part. Once you're on the way to the gym, it's rare that you're gonna say, "Oh, you know what? I need to go to the grocery store instead." No, you're already on your way to the gym. You're gonna go through with that habit, but it's that initial getting started. So for me, I work out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to set my clothes out the night before. If I don't, I give myself an excuse of like, oh, I'm going to make too much noise. I'm going to wake up the kids. I'm not going to be able to find this stuff. So I have to get my clothes ready the night before. And that's a small habit that I had to create for myself of if I know that I want to work out tomorrow morning, then I need to get my clothes ready the night before. And I have to do it before my children go to sleep because otherwise I'm going to be making a bunch of noise at nighttime as well. So for a fitness routine, it's important to find these things that you need to have a habit. And I would also say that look for a way to get the support from friends and family to where it allows you to make these things non negotiable. Most times, if you're looking for an excuse to not work out, I promise you, you're going to find one. It's a lot harder to find excuses to go through with things that you want to do than it is for you to find excuses to not do them. So, make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. Get your clothes ready. Make sure you've planned your workouts. Make sure you've planned your meals. Make sure you've planned your post recovery snacks. Make sure you plan these things out so that it's just a no brainer. And when you're ready to go, you can go. You don't have to stop what you're doing and work towards hyping yourself up to go. One of the things that I used to run into a lot of problems with getting to the gym was if I was on a call and I had planned, okay, my day is revolved around work, right? So I would say, okay, after this call is done, then I'm going to go to the gym and then I'm going to work out. And here's the workout that I'm going to do. And then I'll come home, take a quick shower, and get ready for my next call. And I have to be back by this time. And lo and behold, one of my calls would run over. And okay, now I'm 5 minutes behind. If I don't leave by this time, I'm not going to make it to the gym in time. I'm not going to be able to get my hour workout in. I'm not going to be able to get this done. It takes me 15 minutes to get there, 15 minutes to get back. There's all these excuses of, well, if I don't have 30 minutes for travel time and I don't have 30 minutes to shower and get dressed, then I'm not going to get in my full hour workout. And why even go? Right. So BJ Fogg talks about it in his book, and so does James Clear. It's better to do something than it is to do nothing. Just because you can't do everything that you wanted to do doesn't mean you should do nothing and just quit. So if there's timing issues that come up, your fitness and your health should be your non-negotiable. And the way I would tell you to get around that is if you're going to be late and you can't make it to the gym in time to do your full hour workout, do a 45-minute workout, do a 30-minute workout. It's better than not going at all. If you're not going to make it to the gym and make it back in time, I guarantee you can find a quick workout to do at home. If you're looking for a workout that you can do, just search for one on YouTube. I guarantee you that there's free workout programs that are 15 or 30 minutes that will get your heart rate up, that will help you burn calories, that will help you with your fitness goals, whatever it may be. So just look for a way to do that, and I promise you're going to find one. Another thing that you can do to prepare for those events is when you're not planning for a workout right now, spend some time, look on YouTube, find some workouts that you like, or find a trainer that you want to work with who builds workouts for you. So it takes that off your plate. You don't have to worry about figuring out what workout you're going to do or how this is going to help you work towards your overall fitness goals. Find that solution ahead of time so that when something like a meeting runs over or a new meeting got put on my calendar for it wasn't supposed to be in the afternoon and now I'm not going to make it to the gym, you can work around that by just doing a workout at home. So I'm hoping that this episode was beneficial for you. Please look for ways to incorporate these small habits, especially when it comes to building a fitness routine, because it's so easy to convince yourself to not work out. And a lot of times, all you have to do is have a small habit of putting your clothes out or getting your pre workout snack ready ahead of time to make it easy for you to follow through with that habit and keeping your fitness routine. Keeping that routine will help you work towards that fitness goal that you have for yourself. And it's important to keep working towards your goals because without a goal, you're not ever going to see the success that you're looking for. So just to wrap up, remember that this massive and large successes that we're looking for, it all starts with a small decision to at least try something. And maybe you miss it a couple of times. Maybe you fail 100 times at trying to implement a new habit. If it's something that you really want to do, you'll keep trying to do that. But taking the first step of trying is the most important part of building a new habit. Now, James Clear says, and this is from the book Atomic Habits, success is a product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformation. So let's look for these tiny habits to make massive gains over a long period of time. And I know you'll be successful. So make sure you come back for next week's episode. We're going to be jumping back into the topics of nutrition. We're going to be doing this with Meal Planning 101. We're going to be talking about some simple meal planning strategies that will help you stay on target for your calorie goals, as well as help you stay fueled for the workouts that you're doing throughout the week. Remember, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your comments either here on YouTube or find us on Instagram or LinkedIn. Until next time, keep those small habits going and watch your fitness journey transform. And that wraps up another episode of the Mindset to Motion podcast. Thank you for sharing this time with us. And remember, every step you take is a step closer to a better you. For more insights, tips, and stories, make sure you subscribe, follow, and join us next time as we continue to transform our mindsets and set our lives in motion. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram for more resources and support. Here's to moving forward, one thought, one action at a time. Until next time, keep your mindset in motion.